I save the expression these days for only special occasions, but what we have just witnessed was a delectable medley of footballing splendour of the highest order. And before we get into it, and we are going to get into it, what we need to do is stop. We have to stop everything that you were thinking, because the first thing that we all have to do is praise Brentford. We have to praise Brentford to the highest order. They were exceptional. Yes, we need to talk about Manchester United. Yes, we need to talk about Ten Hag. Yes, we need to talk about the Glazers and the players and everything. But first things first, and we must acknowledge Brentford's superb performance. They were outstanding. They were exceptional. They were mesmerising. They were dazzling. They were fantastic. The astuteness of their tactics, their impressive endeavour, the brilliant execution of their high press, and the precision of their passing. They were outrageous. They made Christian Eriksen's life a misery on his return. They bullied him. They ganged up on him. And they did the same to Maguire, Martinez, Shaw. It was such clever tactics from Thomas Frank to actually exploit Christian Eriksen. They used Christian Eriksen, the player that they wanted to keep, a player that Manchester United have signed that they thought was going to improve them. Thomas Frank saw that and used Eriksen as the difference maker. They used him as the vulnerability. They knew that if they pressured him, if they bullied him, they could dispossess him. And the second that the ball was rolled into his feet, Christian Eriksen obviously doesn't want the ball at his feet on the edge of his own box facing his own goal. That isn't where he wants the ball. He isn't that kind of player. He isn't a particularly robust footballer. Certain players are happy with the ball at their feet if they're marked. But David De Gea giving the ball to a marked Christian Eriksen is so foolish and so costly. And Erik ten Hag needs to take some responsibility here. It isn't only a De Gea Eriksen issue. De Gea must be doing that under instruction. But Thomas Frank needs to be praised at the highest order, because he looked at the Manchester United team and found the flaw in Christian Eriksen and found the flaw in the passing out from the back. He identified Ten Hag's philosophy as a flaw. He identified Ten Hag's signing from his club as a flaw, and he made it count. And that is supreme management. There are some footballers in the world that want the ball with the man on their back. Moussa Dembele used to light the ball, give it to him when he's marked. Michael Ballack, light the ball, give it to him when he's marked. Drogba, fine. Moussa Dembele at Tottenham, loved it. Give it to him when marked. Always happy with the ball, if marked or not. Didn't make a difference. Christian Eriksen doesn't want that. And he isn't robust. He can't look after it in those situations. And he paid the price massively. So full credit to Thomas Frank there. Absolutely exceptional. He will be having a nice glass of wine tonight, that is for sure. But Manchester United, right, we need to do this. And where do we go? Where do we start? Where do we begin? Because it was appalling from start to finish. Marcus Rashford, abysmal. Bruno Fernandes, embarrassing. Jadon Sancho, anonymous. They have been in terrible form for the best part of a year? Some of them going on 2. And there's no sign of a spark to change that. There is no glimpse that any of these players are going to find anything that we suggested they were when they first signed for that club. Have you seen even a semblance of the player that Bruno Fernandes was 18 months ago? Have you seen even a semblance of the player that Jadon Sancho was when he was in Germany? How important is it to do your due diligence on these players? Doing it in the Bundesliga is a very particular skill. Timo Werner ripped it up there. Kai Havertz ripped it up there. Jadon Sancho ripped it up there. But deploying those skills in this league is very, very different and very, very difficult. And Rashford, Fernandes, Sancho, Maguire, they have all been so bad. David De Gea, one of the best players at Manchester United last year. I'd say he was the standout player aside from Cristiano Ronaldo. Absolutely atrocious today. Absolutely atrocious. He's being forced to play out from the back. He isn't good enough to do that. He doesn't want to do that. And I think the rotten mistake that he displayed early in the game to set the route going, he started to flap. I mean, the lack of options. He's obviously been told to play out from the back. He doesn't want to do that. It's not his forte. And he looked all over the place. He was rattled. And it isn't good because he was their standout player last year alongside Cristiano Ronaldo, who, look, I don't like the paradigm that suggests that Cristiano Ronaldo is the problem at that club. I don't agree with it. I think there's so much wrong. I think you could make a list of 20 problems at Manchester United and Cristiano Ronaldo not be anywhere near it. People disagree with me. People often say that he is a problem. But while I don't think he's a problem, I now have to concede that he isn't part of the solution. And it's got to the stage where I feel like the whole club needs rebuilding. The ownership. I mean, the stadium, the recruitment ethos, the ethics in the team themselves. This manager has got one hell of a job, but he has just taken his team for their first away game of the season in front of a devoted Manchester United fans. Anyone who goes to football regularly in this country knows that Manchester United fans travel so well. They are such good, lively, loud fans in the ground. And they have gone to their first away game of the season. They have witnessed men versus boys. And that's what it was. I don't know if you're really allowed to say this, right? But I'm going to say it anyway because I am a more diminutive man, right? I'm very small. So I think I can get away with saying this. But do you know where Ten Hag got it so wrong? And I think he realised he got it wrong because he then made some substitutions. He brought on Varane. He brought on McTominay, who are more imposing characters. I'm not saying that they're better footballers. I think Scott McTominay should never play for Manchester United again. But he does have a presence. He is 6 foot odd and he can put it about a bit. 2 goals in particular. It felt like it was Brentford scoring against the shorties. People like me. And look, people like me shouldn't throw... I'm aware of the glass house I'm sitting in here. I shouldn't be calling anyone short. But I think it was the second goal, the Ben Mee goal. It was just the shorties being bullied. Come on, you have to be so much better than that. You have to be combative. You have to be ready to go to war, as Diego Costa put it. You have to be ready to have that fight. And not only were Manchester United outfought, not only were they were just outgunned on every level. They weren't physical enough. They weren't demanding enough. They weren't aggressive enough. They didn't have enough fight, enough tenacity, enough spirit, enough heart, enough aggression. And that, I think, is because the team were all too short. Like, genuinely. Brentford are massive. Brentford are so physical. And when you play Brentford, you have to be ready to mix it. They can knock it about nicely. But they also have a row. And you have to be ready to have that row. And I have no idea why Manchester United set up the way they did against the Brentford team, who were obviously going to swarm all over them. Manchester United may have better technical footballers, but they're not better when they're being hounded and harried at every single point, every single touch. They didn't ever find any space. And if you're going to be pressed like that, you have to be clever. You have to find a man in space. Your tactics have to be spot on to counter that. And I think Ten Hag got it wrong today. They didn't fight enough. They didn't have enough there. And ultimately, anything that Manchester United offered, Brentford were easily able to repel their attacks. There were constantly times, right? Look at that goal. The goal where Tony broke, right? That was Manchester United being trapped in the Brentford box, and they were completely undone by one long pass. Ivan Toney storms forward up the flank, plays an exquisite pass with the outside of his boot to Mbuemo and wallop. He burns past Luke Shaw. Luke Shaw, pitiful defending. Do you know what I'd say in that situation as well? Take one for the team. Nothing wrong with a tactical foul there, Luke. Instead of that, you basically just watched him score. You did nothing. You had an opportunity to get goal side, slide in. You had an opportunity to slide in and hopefully take the ball. If you don't take the ball, you hope for the best. Or you had the opportunity to do nothing. And Luke Shaw did nothing. I mean, it was a scintillating goal from Brentford, but it was against a thoroughly derelict football club. And I want to leave you with this. And I genuinely want your thoughts on this. I'm going to ask this comment in the... I want your thoughts in the comment section here. We all thoroughly enjoyed it, didn't we? We all loved what happened. There is no doubt about it. Please acknowledge, I loved watching Brentford slap Manchester United up. But I do also have a question for you. Is it, while it's hilarious to watch Manchester United being torn apart, it would be disingenuous for me not to acknowledge that. But listen, when you see the Manchester United fans in that away end singing that the club will never die, singing about the red flag flying high. Think about the institution, the British institution that club are. Think about the footballing institution that club are. Is there an element of sadness in the way that American venture capitalists have come over and effectively stripped that club and changed it and created a shell of a club with no real spirit, no real identity? And as much as I enjoyed that against Brentford, part of me did think football can be horrible, and the way that football can go, the business in football can be fairly hateful. Don't get me wrong, I'm glad that they lost to Brentford. I just wish that it had been done through different circumstances, because football clubs need to be protected. They need to be preserved. And this, to me, Brentford 4-0 like that at half-time, what have the Glazers done? It's horrible. As always, I want to hear your comments about everything I've mentioned in this video, but especially that final one. I imagine that a lot of you are going to say, sod it, it's brilliant. Don't worry about it, Raw. Have a good night. Appreciate you watching this video. Please click subscribe if you've enjoyed it. I will see you all very, very soon. In a bit.